Today I'm going to show you a really different technique on how to graft trees. Now, grafting trees can be a little tricky, and there's a lot of different methods on how to do it, and I don't have time to show you every single one of them, but this is the easiest and great way to graft an older variety of a tree into a newer tree. Say when you were growing up, you went to your grandparents' home and they had an apple tree that was like one of your favorite apples, and it just brings back great childhood memories, and that tree's not going to be around much longer, and you want to try and save part of that tree and put it onto another tree. That's what grafting is. We're going to take a piece of that old apple tree and we're going to graft it onto a newer apple tree so that it will continue to produce those same apples. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a tree like this one, and we've got a nifty little tool right here, which is a grafting tool. And what the grafting tool will do is it's going to notch the tree for us so we can put the two pieces together. Now, if you can see right there, it's got a little blade in there that's going to cut the tree. I'm going to show you how that works. Now, what we got to do is figure out what tree we're going to graft first. So you can graft apples to apples, you can graft pears to pears, but when it comes to the stone fruits, you can actually take an apricot, a plum, a peach, or a cherry, and they're all fairly compatible. So you can actually graft those into the same tree. So really what you want to do is figure out which tree you need to graft onto, and then take the piece of the tree that you really want to keep and put that onto the tree that we're going to do. So we're going to do a plum for today, since that's what I've got here. So we're going to take this particular plum tree. I'm going to try and find a good spot where I can make this cut, and I'll show you how it notches the cut. And it's really quite interesting how it'll notch it. Alright, okay, now if you can see that, it's made a nice little notch. Can you see how it's notched the bottom of that? So it looks like a puzzle piece. So we're going to take that puzzle piece that we've left on the tree, and we're going to take the piece that we're going to graft into that tree, and we're going to put them together so that they match up. What's really important is that the tissue around the outside of that branch matches up, because that's where all the water and the nutrient passes from the bottom, from the rootstock up to the part that we're going to graft onto the tree. So you got to make sure that size is about the same. So this is a different kind of plum that we're going to graft into this particular plum. So we want to match up the sizes. Of course, doing this outside is going to be a little bit more tricky than doing it inside, but we're going to do the same thing to it. So about right there is a good spot. So I'm going to notch this piece as well, and then we're going to use it to graft into. There we go. So let's put a notch in that one as well. So this was the tree that we took off, and then we're going to take this. I'm going to turn this so you can see it, and that will match right up and fit perfectly together. So what it does is it takes the tissue, the cambium of the tree that we cut, and it allows that to match right up perfectly with the scion, the piece that we cut off the tree that we want to graft onto here, and they match up just perfectly. So after you get those to match up, what I'd do is I'd take my pruning sealer, and you can use either the pruning paint or you can use the aerosol, and we'll put just a little bit of pruning sealer on there. So this one's the aerosol. Oop, lost the tip. All right. So we'd take that, we'd spray a little bit of that pruning sealer right around where that cut was, and then we take our tree wrap, and we'll open up the tree wrap. And then we wrap the tree with the tree wrap, just right around there, and protect that graft. So we'd wrap that nice and tight to keep those together. What will happen is the rootstock will provide all the water and the nutrient for this to grow, and it will start growing. And from below that graft, it's going to be the old plum. Like say we had a green gauge plum down here, and we wanted to graft a different type of plum onto it, and this one is Stanley prune or an Italian prune. They would be compatible, and you'd have this tree part down here doing a green gauge, and you have this tree part up here doing the Stanley plum, and you can mix them together like that. And so grafting is a great way to resurrect some older varieties if you don't know what kind of tree it is, but you really want to take a piece off of Grandpa's old tree and put it onto another apple. That's the way to do it. Or if you want to put different kinds of fruit on the same tree, you can do the same thing. You can turn it into a combination tree where it's got 2 or 3 or even 4 different varieties of fruit coming on the same tree at the same time. So fairly easy to do, little difficult to get them to always take. You always want to do a couple extras just in case, because it won't always take every time, but that's probably the easiest way to graft with a grafting tool, and it just makes life a lot easier when you're trying to graft a new variety onto an older tree.